EPC
versus
right.
DRG.
Sorry?
Just curious what classic will pull out versus DRG. But
For sure. There he is. It's classic. An Alpha X Protoss.
woohoo! We have to do the cheer sound. All right, at the 1 o'clock position of hardwire, we have DRG. I mean Team MD.
Go
12,
get him,
12 year old
DRG. Yeah.
12-year-old friend of mine.
He's yeah.
But I'm going to be impartial.
He's been around the
Classic is
block
a
for a while.
teammate.
Together
Okay.
with you, I suppose.
I mean, and also I witnessed his like his prime slash heyday back in the
Ah,
days. So
it was
like
glorious.
like with my own eyes.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Kudos to him.
In the studio. That's nice.
Or
That is
ven-
cool, man.
or ven- or venues. Yeah.
Old event, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he was such a beast to be reckoned with back then. He was just on a whole nother level. It was
He had some
quite nice to see.
monstrous APM
Do you know
even
how he
before.
feels about this though? Because I'm kind of curious. Does he feel like he's not as good, or does he feel like the other players in the scene have just gotten better?
You know what he said? What all the Korean pro players say these days?
Yeah,
Like, I feel too old.
I feel too old. Yeah. All right.
They're not moving as fast as before. I feel too
Mm,
old. I'm like, well, DRG is an exception, but most of them are still like in mid 20s slash late 20s. So
yeah.
obviously, if you compare like them to like players like Cyril, Glenn, etc., then Rainer, then
Mm,
obviously yeah, they're much older.
yeah.
But, because if you think about it, like
Max specs as well.
Rogue and Raynor, they're like 8 years different in terms
Hmm.
of age. Like Trap as well. They're both born in 1994.
That's an
Like
entire
the young,
elementary school
and
for
then
real.
like Maru, who's considered like one of the best Koreans. He's born 97, so he's like only 1 year apart from Cyril. But that's like on the young end of the Korean player pool. So
Yeah.
kind of speaks that Korean StarCraft 2 scene is in a drought in when it comes down to rising stars. We don't have like the clans or the Rainers and so
Yeah.
forth.
There's some other opportunities really for the Koreans there, right? And it makes sense because it's such a well-established scene already. It's gonna be so difficult for a newcomer to make a rise in the ranks.
Yeah, so at the same time, we hope one day we can have a breakout star, but
Yeah.
right now, sadly, none has been able to kind of break the mold and kind
Is
of
that
pop out in the
actually
scene.
is it similar for the StarCraft 1 scene? Because I don't follow that as closely, but do you feel like there's the same situation in the StarCraft 1 scene?
Well, I think so. Like Brood Wars case, it's not just about pure competition these days. It's like also like there are a lot of like tournaments or events that involve like streamers and stuff, like on different platforms, obviously.
Okay.
So I think there are, and also a lot of people still possess that nostalgia of Brood Wars. So a lot of
Yeah.
people, the streamers, kind of like go back to it and they try to play it, and then also they try to incorporate teaching, whether it was like amateur streamers or like even female streamers, so they can have like kind of like a mixed team league, like
Mm-hmm.
of males and females,
Okay, that's
and
pretty cool.
whether it's like former pros or just like purely streamers. So it's quite diverse,
Yeah.
but it won't be like as competitive as like the top tier StarCraft 2 scene where you have like all these Marus and Serals and Rainers and Darts and stats like duking out, like going for the glory. Like
Yeah.
those days are past.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you look at the quality of games of like ASL, which is like the only competitive like actual like 1v1 competitive like tournament that
Mm-hmm.
is available for Broodware, if you look at them, like the qualities of games are like not even close to what they used to be. When Brood War was actually like the thing, right? So
The thing, yeah.
yeah. Whereas StarCraft 2, at least we still have that high competitive motor going on.
Okay. Okay. Alright, interesting. Yeah, I always like to hear about that stuff, man. Anyway, what's happening in this game?
So it's Charge Lot Archon.
Yeah,
Yep,
Church
Charge
of
Lot
Archon
Archon.
lair coming up for DRG together with the Roach Warren is ready. And Classic just going straight up into double Archons here. There wasn't really much else beforehand.
Nope. Just making queens and drones, and then follow up with roaches. So standard reaction.
So there should be enough queens here.
But he's trying to waste as many transfusion energy as possible, but he gotta save that prism, which he does. And then he's gonna go for the potential timing. Because his third Nexus is so late compared to when you're going for the Stargate. Because you have to get around like 345, 350-ish. But now it just completed, so he really needs to deal damage with this. Or he has to act like he's gonna like commit really hard, and then he makes the Zerg overreact, and then while doing so, he has to kind of catch up economy-wise. But you know, once he saw that it's not a Stargate-oriented play coming out from the Protoss, so DRG going for that Spire, which is the usual counter action.
Mm-hmm.
But now Classic moving out. Yeah.
That could be quite a bit of aggressive play. So even if he does overcommit to the Roaches here for the defense, he still has an opportunity to kind of get counter-aggressive with it quite quickly, together with the Queens.
Yeah, but he still needs to wait until the Roach speed finishes. But by that time, he's gonna lose the third hatchery.
Yeah.
So this is actually really good for Classic. All he has to do is not lose these Archons and Immortals.
Well, he's trying. There's a good creep highway there for the Roaches to kind of give chase. Will they be able to get on top of it? DRG trying to get those Queens out of the way so the Roaches have their pathway cleared.
One Archon is going to go down for sure.
Yeah.
And then this flock of Zealots, they back off. Just that time. Meanwhile, losing 4 probes to the lanes. That's not good. Because Classic has only 41 probes.
I'm surprised he didn't try to make a Nidus swim there with the Zerglings in the main base. That seemed like maybe what he was trying to do, but no, he's just kind of walking over here, now putting down a Nidus swim.
I mean, he saw Classic's units retreating, so I think he kind of anticipated that he will react. So, but here, that was such bad move from DRG. He tried to focus down the Archon, and he got bullied by the Zealous so much. He's actually going to go really well for Classic.
Yeah.
And he's going to lose all the Roaches and Ravagers, and they're stuck in that corner doing nothing. GP.
All the Queens going down as well at the same time. Trying his best with the micro there into and out of the Nidus network, but there's only so much you can do. I'm on just checking. 32 seconds, 33.
Yeah, I'm on the same
right,
same screen.
Always good to check now and again, you know.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Making sure we're in sync or not.
Snooping, inspecting the mineral quality here.
Inspector Snoopy.
Inspector Snoop. That's nice.
All right. So late Scald coming out from Classic. So DRG takes the natural. I think this was intentional. I think he has something planned. So he just kind of allowed DRG to take it.
To get the regular natural, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, it is. I'm not entirely sure on the numbers, but it must be quite a bit, right? Since you don't have that many probes in the initial starts. To send one away to block that hatchery, it must do a bit on your economy as well.
I mean, you just wanted to do it, so it takes longer for Zerg to, connect the creeps, and then you try to, exploit stuff with it, but you can't really exploit anything because a lot of the Zergs just will mess up queens, and what can you do? And then if they know that they're gonna throw in the Overlord, and if they see Twilight Council, they will react accordingly around 4-minute build, Roach Warren, and then get the Lings and Roaches out to counteract against the Glaive Adepts. If they're going Stargate, then you're just gonna drone up and queen up, and then go from there. So
yeah,
But you just don't want the Zerg to, comfortably, do whatever they want. So that's why a lot of the Protoss is trying to deny that the quote-unquote natural expansion base.
Yeah. Yeah, it just makes me think, like, what you said, he may have a plan for it, right? Because he's letting him take it, but... Going for just a regular Stargate here.
Well, so now it's going to be a choice.
Well, Choi, what kind of plans do you think would be possible then for, like, trying to allow the Zerg to have that regular natural?
Well, I think he may go for one Stargate play, and then go for Glaive with that as follow-up.
Oh.
So usually you can go like four Void Rays, and then you go Glaive with that as follow-up. Or he can even go Tempest, I think, because Classic loves his Tempest, so we can't disregard that possibility. Or that gets one drone. He gets second is worth it, yeah, worth it. Totally worth it.
Bad. No spore crawlers being created there.
And also, he didn't see any additional combat units coming out from sort of eggs, so he knows that he's not gonna die to any like crazy all-in coming out from the.
Yeah, that's a really good call as well.
So not only he scouted properly, but he also picked up 2 drones. So
yeah, don't have to make those investments, right? Like the shield battery at your natural right now. You can get this third base out a little bit quicker.
Right, so there's the Void Ray followed by Oracle. Now, Classic needs to make that decision. Is he gonna go Twilight, or is he gonna go for a second Stargate, or is he going for Flip Beacon as well? And there's the Twilight. So it's one Stargate Twilight play.
Stargate Twilight play. Yeah.
So previously
the Adept Glaives. You were mentioning it before, so yeah.
So previously, since you casted a lot of games, most of the time if it's one Stargate followed by Twilight, then most of the time it was that Glaive or that follow-up, right? But these days, Protoss is trying to incorporate, Charge Lot play, or even go for Blink Stalkers, and then the second follow-up being the Disruptors, but this time it's Charge Lot once again. So he's going to probably go Charge Lot Archon, there's the Temple Archon.
Yeah, I think I've seen Classic do this actually, just straight up the Classic, with the Zealots timing indeed.
Yeah, especially the Korean Alpha X for us is like this kind of style. They like to go kind of for that Charge Lot plus Archon, and then go for that timing rush. Yep. We've seen Zoun do it multiple times.
When it works, it looks so ridiculous as well. It's just like, oh wow, yeah, he just wins straight up right now because his opponent wasn't quite aware, was still making drones, and well, that's how you get your face held to a furnace quite quickly.
I think it looks ridiculously strong only if the Zerg is unaware of it. Yeah. Because if the Zerg knows and prepares accordingly for it, then we see the opposite trend happen. Like, the Protoss units get completely smashed.
Yeah. So. Then it just looks silly the other way, exactly. It's like, why would you ever try to do this?
People will be like asking questions, and they'll be like, oh, is the Protoss inting?
Yeah, exactly.
But in reality, it's not inting. Like, that's the reality. Like, if you don't go, then the Zerg is too wealthy enough that he can do whatever he or she can do whatever he or she wants.
Exactly.
If you attack, and if they're already prepared, then you're just gonna get completely like annihilated.
Just melted one way or the other. I'm seeing a lot of roaches on that production tab, making me feel pretty solid about DRG's odds of survival here.
Well, now the only variable will be the unit maneuver coming out from Classic.
Yeah.
If he can somehow segregate the roaches and then pick them off like section by section, then obviously he would have a slight chance. But right now he won't be able to finish the game with it. And also great dodge coming out from DRG from that stasis sword.
It really
Classic tried to do the distraction. Causing distraction with the Archons and the Charge Lots, and then try to land that jackpot stasis ward, but one single drone gets caught in that ward. So Yeah, he lost 5 drones, DRG, but his Spire is done.
He's still in a good economy here, right? 74, yeah, 74 workers.
Yeah, and he has
4
9
bases.
more under production, so that will be 83 total.
Yeah.
It will be 82 because he just started an infestation pit, and then 2 more extractors. So yeah,
Just
82.
that alone, him starting all those upgrades and the extra attack of the Bailing Nest and the it shows how comfortable he's feeling right now, right? Making all those moves at the same time.
Sure, because he already knows he has sufficient number of queens and roaches to actually fend off Classic's initial units that were pushing towards his base. So.
Yeah.
At least one good thing is that Classic is aware of the presence of the Spire, because if you're not aware, then most of the time you will probably get bopped by the mutas, as Cyril says, the mutas.
Yeah, but he's making Phoenix. He's adding a second Stargate as well, so it looks like Classic is fully aware, starting to get prepared for this.
Yeah, I think DRG is also aware that Classic will react in that fashion, so he's just getting the attack upgrade and heading for the high. Because you need that attack upgrade like at some time, because you are going to go Corruptor, Infestor, and Broodlord at some point of the game if this game drags out like 15 to 20 minutes from now on. So.
It probably will, right?
Yeah.
Seeing DRG, like, I don't see him trying to do anything else until he gets that late game army. I would be very surprised, actually. Unless if, like, Classic makes him move, you know, like, tries to take too many bases at the same time, or, like, he moves out and he gets crushed and then DRG moves across, but other than that.
No,
well, he's gonna send roaches, right? He's gonna have to replenish that supply. That's about it.
Yeah, at some point he's gonna trade off the roaches for
yeah.
Sure. And also, you know, DRG whining to me a few weeks ago. Oh, I'm too old. I can't see the minimap. I can't see the observers. Yada yada yada. And yet, you know, he got the observer with the corrosive file. So.
Yeah, exactly, man.
DRG liar confirmed.
Just all excuses.
DRG liar confirmed.
What is confirmed?
Alright, so DRG being a liar.
Oh yes, yes.
DRG liar confirmed. So now he's getting greater Spire, so he knows the transition timing is like the weakest timing for him right now. But he spots that prison. Oh, this is so huge.
That's
the prison. Oh yeah. Now DRG just can comfortably, you know, position all of his combat units to the frontal side because he doesn't need to worry about the prisoners at all. And also he's already getting a few spines as well.
Oh yeah. Even before spawn crawlers or anything like that. Unless if he already has spore crawlers too.
Well, he has several spore crawlers because Classic ran a Stargate first. So
yeah, that is. I mean, like a big forest of spore crawlers.
Yeah. I mean, at some point he will start. Yeah.
Yeah.
He starts 4 now because he knows that Stargate is there, and then he already saw the number of phoenixes, so he will know eventually. Protoss is going to transition into Skytoss.
Because what else would there be really for the Protoss? It just feels like the Skytoss is just the accepted answer right now. I'm not sure what... Like, there's some Protoss experimenting now and again. Astrea is someone that I like to point towards, you know, showing some weirder, more gateway-reliant late game versus Zerg. But you don't really see it all that often from anyone else.
And also... especially a lot of the Korean Protosses are heavily against that, especially as the game goes on. Yeah, so until mid game, you know, they think it could be viable, you know, if they can catch the Zerg off guard.
Yeah.
But because of the lurkers, you can't really win ground versus ground if it goes late game, because the lurker DPS is so high that. No, even the Protoss unit, before they converge onto the Zerg units, they'll just like melt. So if the lurkers have ample support from other units, then the lurkers are so deadly in this matchup. And that's why a lot of the Korean Protosses do not favor going pure ground against Zerg in the late phase of the game.
Maybe the style will get experimented with later down the line a little bit more. Because we did have the a little bit of a nerf to the Lurker Burrow and Unburrow. I think Roach is getting trade it here. Let's see if they get anything done. But yeah, like I'm thinking if maybe right if you can make that work, if that lurker composition takes a bit longer to reposition, you use that mobility of Blink Stalkers. I always find it an interesting idea. I can imagine that it's going to be incredibly difficult to make work, and Nexus actually falls here. That is
it's great trade coming off from DRG. He gets 3 more brutes and also an Ultralisk.
Yep.
Those Ultralisks are just basically trying to, you know, tank any sort of damage and also try to snipe High Templars. But fortunately for Classic, he has a few Immortals. But they are segregated. They're trying to do some harassment and probably going to trade those Immortals into Sky Units. So it's actually a very bad move for Classic. I mean, he has to get rid of the top somehow. But, you know, throwing out Immortals, I think, is not a good idea. I mean, he still has 3 more on his main army.
He's aiming straight into it. That could be worth it.
Well, I mean, if he had gotten that Ultra, then I'll say it's worth it. But no, I don't think it's worth it. Sorry.
Okay. No, it's fine, man. I mean, he got the hatchery. It's a little bit there. I don't think, like, you know, it's nothing that will lose him the game here. I would think, no. Yeah, but I can see with how many Ultralisks are on the map actually right now.
I think I saw like 2 or 3.
2 or 3. Okay. Yeah.
Now Classic adding on Tempest because he knows his Brutal Corrupt Infestor composition. So try to use that range difference using the Tempest to snipe Brulors and Corruptors. But really needs to be careful because if the Zerg units can converge on top of the Protoss units from multiple angles, then it's not going to be pretty at all. Or the Fungals to get those Immortals, but another Fungal, but only 1. So 3 Fungals for 1 High Templar. Well, I mean, Infestors regenerate energy at some point, so yeah, I can say it's okay, but Classic has the bank to replenish the High Templar count, so all in all, I will say is quite negligible.
Yeah. It's gonna have to be very close to the wire here if that would be the deciding factor ultimately.
Right. Okay. Yes, 30 more minutes of this late game PvP incoming.
Probably. I mean, the Tempest are shaving away at the Spore Crawler Forest here, but the Transfusions are there as well, kind of helping out, keeping things safe. DRG might make a move.
Mothership on the way as well. I mean, he has to throw away these Lings and Banes, so why not just crush them in? But you know, they weren't able to get any probe kills, and then half of the Banes just die in vain. No pun intended.
Yeah.
And then, so Neuroparasite almost done. Burrow also almost done. Burrow probably gonna be used mostly for the Infestors and also maybe potentially some Banelings, but primarily Infestors to, you know, increase their survivability. And also trying to catch a Classic off guard. More Vipers being added. I think he only has 2 so far. I think that's his 3rd Viper, if I'm not mistaken. But I could be.
Catches another hatchery.
Yeah, but Zerg has almost 3k minerals in the bank, so you know, killing 1 hatchery is not going to, you know, swing the pendulum big time. Better than nothing, of course.
For sure.
Better than nothing.
It's the position right now, right? Because I feel like it's gonna come down to just a big battle, and the longer that battle takes before it starts, the more important having those extra bases becomes.
Does Classic only have 3 started? Because if so, then that's going to be very problematic. But if Classic loses the fight once, then it's going to be very arduous for him to recover all the armies. So he's getting additional gateway infrastructure. That's great. You know, 13 probes.
13 probes. Okay. I mean, he's still at 62. He may consider replacing some of that with just army units at this point.
And then classic kills up 4 props.
Yeah.
make us look like dumbasses.
It's fine, it's fine. He's making 1 extra Tempest as well, you know? Getting
the magic number is always 6. You want to have 6 Tempest.
Always 6. What do you one shot with the 6 Tempest? Is it the queens?
I think if you have +3, you can one shot with 5. But yeah, you want to one shot queens and also broodlords. You can one shot broodlords as well.
Most likely one of the Tempests is gonna get abducted at some point in time. So.
So 3 Vipers, 6 Investors. So 1 Ultra is gonna go in there as a tank. So it's just gonna boil down to all the spell casting.
Yeah.
If the 4 High Templars can't negate Vipers plus Infestors, then the Microbial Shroud followed by Neuroparasite and also the Parasitic Bomb will be very deadly. It's gonna come down to positioning and the spell casting.
So the previous time these two fought, right, in the GSL as well, did it go into a big macro game there also?
Well,
you remember? Or?
It kind of went macro-ish, but the games were obviously it finished like before the 30-minute mark. So what happened was that first game it was Roughneck, which is GSL only map, and then Classic went for the Proxy Tempest, and then DRG somehow had amnesia and forgot that the patch was through, and then moved the queens forward along with Ling Bane to kill the Proxy Stargate, and then lost all his queens. So that's how game 1 ended. Game 2, it was more of a macro game. Classic went Stargate first, and then get that 4th up. It was actually on Glittering Ashes, but his 6 o'clock base was very exposed because he didn't wall off the right side with the gateways, and then so DRG kind of threw in Ling plus Banes, and then did consistent economic damage, and also caught Classic off guard here and there with the army, and then DRG was just able to close it out with Mutas, and then similar story happened in game 3 as well.
Yeah, because I'm wondering, if DRG says he doesn't feel comfortable against Protoss, I imagine this situation right here would be the situation he would refer to, right? This, where you're just somewhat still on equal footing continuously, and you're just trying to finish each other up. Well, he's trying to still deal consistent damage here, but he's not really finding game-ending damage,
Yeah, and probably that Nexus is gonna go down to the Corruptors, but still 3k, in there. So if he wants to preserve the Nexus, then you would really need to start building more cannons and batteries. Oh, there's the drop. Gets 4 drones, nice.
Fancy. 4 drones.
Oh, two more storm. Yes, total of 7. So 4 storms for 7 drones. Okay, not bad. But now DRG is just gonna mess up more combat units, and so he made a mixture of 3 drones and 12 links. And also it makes sense for Zerg to replenish drone count, right? Because they're consistently making the spore farm, the spine spore farm, so they gotta have some number of drone count available to mine out as much as possible.
Yeah.
So it's now just gonna boil down to which bases that the Zerg or the Protoss can secure.
I also feel with the Zerg you want to perhaps have a bit of extra income influx anyway, because you will try to make those Baneling run-bys and stuff like that happen. So yeah, you're replenishing supply a bit more so rather than what you're looking to do as the Protoss. The Protoss just wants to stay back, trade efficiently, keep his units alive. That is Zerg you're okay with, throwing away some Banelings and Ultralisk hero there.
Yeah, and also you want to mine out like the bases that are closer to the opposition side as much as possible, so that you can have more resources available to you as the game goes on, whether it goes to like 40 minutes and 50 minutes and stuff. So.
Yeah.
No, it's all about which bases that either player can take or relinquish. But right now, those are some great trades coming out from the Zerg, using the free broodlings, getting rid of those immortals, and also clearing this 12 o'clock base. So now Classic answering back with a counter attack. Oh, okay. Yeah, these storms are good and killing a lot of drones, but if you don't have enough storms at the frontal fight, then it may get pretty dicey.
For sure.
Yes, feedback is good as well, but it's actually better to feedback only Vipers, and then you just use storms onto the Zerg units, and just try to zone out the investors using the storms. Because even though you feedback the investor, like, you can't really kill them, and also you have to play the range fight. And if you mess up once, then you're going to get pretty screwed. I'm sure the same logic operates to the Zerg side as well, but I think because Klutz only has 6 High Templars, he needs to be really really cautious with the use of Templar energy. So since he expended some, he needs to kind of be careful, kind of sit back and try to replenish that energy. And meanwhile, the door is open, so Zerglings say hello.
Going to that production. It's another hatchery that does go down. It's a bit of production for both of them going down. I guess more so for the Protoss here. Losing both those Robos. That is kind of rough. That puts you really down on one track of production available.
I think he needs to rebuild not only the Robos, but I think he needs additional Stargates too.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many he has right now, but it does feel like it could be on the low side.
Because usually at this point, Process should have at least 5 to 6.
Yeah, I agree.
At least 5 to 6 Stargates. Even more, because Classic has such a enormous bank as well. But let's see.
Yeah,
and also both sides, they're so afraid to push in, because one really bad fight can really, put an end to this game right now.
Yeah.
Because you have the enormous bank and stuff, but if your composition gets completely broken down, then it's really hard for you to kind of re-establish that quote-unquote ideal composition that you aim to go for, despite having a lot of the resources, because you have to be really calculative in regarding to making how many investors do I need, how many Vipers do I need, how many of this and that do I need, and it all has to be based on what the opponent's composition is. So if you trade and then you lose some parts of the composition, it's okay for either side. But if your composition gets drastically shattered, then it will be very hard to kind of re-establish that. So, and that is why both sides are very hesitant to initiate the frontal, head-to-head battle. So they're just kind of trying to poke and try to harass here and there, pick off stuff that they can, take what the opponents are giving to you, and trying to kind of build the ideal comp, and then once that time finally arrives, then they'll start butting heads.
You kind of have that back and forth dance between trying to take out your opponent's new bases until one player feels uncomfortable enough where they're like, alright, I'm just gonna have to pull the trigger here. Because like you said, it is just such an advantage to kind of be the player that is being pushed into, rather than being the player that pushes into the opposition.
Yeah, just DT's doing DT things. Actually, guess 6 Banelings. He killed 3, and then 3 more just crashed onto that single DT and just vaporized it into some unknown gas that makes the Dark Templar. But okay.
Yeah,
Lings once again running by. Is that are you taking? Is that the Rush Hour reference?
Yes.
Yeah. I remember clearly. Rush Hour is one of my favorite movies.
This is a lovely movie.
We'll be seeing him in Rush Hour 3.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh man, these circuits are getting a lot of stuff done, and Classic, you know, he's consistently on max supply, so he can't warp anything in. Has to move his army backwards, as DRG is utilizing that moment to keep hitting this kind of 5 o'clock base. And whatever else he still has available. And the Corruptors running interference with the air army trying to get over to that location. Actually, he's just giving up on that location. Wants to try and hit DRG in his economy here.
Yeah, so DRG just playing very smart because he saw Classic's where the location of Classic's main army is with the link, and then he also saw exactly what the compositions are made of. So that's why, like, generally, if you think, like, you know, Dr. Brulor investor, like, Brulor is very immobile, right?
Yeah.
But he knew that all the Skytops army was at the top side of the map, so he just, you know, casually moved the Brulors to, you know, get the favorable trade and also get the base at the 5 o'clock.
Big fungal. Let's go all the High Templar there.
Yeah.
Most of the air units, but that's a lot of interceptors. Oh, the High Templar survived! Look at that HP there!
Yeah, and also all the Vipers and Infestors got fed back as well, so there are now 5 more Infestors and 2 more Vipers on the way, but now they're Ultraless, and this is because he knows that he picked up a lot of the Immortals from Classic, and it will be unlikely for Classic to actually, like, remake Immortals. So that's why he's going for that additional Ultralist production, and then Classic doing Classic things, you know, juggling the High Templars, killing off the Broodlords. So great Prism Micro and the High Templar Micro coming out from Classic there.
Yeah.
But now we see Classic is actually ahead of DRG in terms of the overall bank, but if DRG can mine out that 5 o'clock base before Classic takes it, then, and also as well as the 11 o'clock, then the only healthy one would remain would be the center pocket near Classic's third and the 12 o'clock. So it would really boil down to the positional battles from there. How many spores will be installed in vicinity, and also where the units are positioned. A nice preemptive timer, just in case he gets
go. Have it come down to this battle right here. The Ultralist coming in from behind.
Ultralist should go for the High Templars. He gets all the High Templars. There's the Fungal. There's the Parasitic Ball.
He's got money.
And Microbial Shroud.
There's a, yeah, I mean, there's fungals. There's definitely fungals. There's not much else, and that is a very rough thing for those Corruptors. They struggle to take out those carriers as quickly as you would otherwise be able to do.
Yeah, and now the Ultralists look dumber than ever.
Oh no, they're dead.
Because there's nothing, they're nothing to clear up.
Yeah.
I mean, they are so tanky, so they can, you know, sustain for a while, but like all the High Templars are gone, so he had, you know, a few Microbial Shards available and also a Parasitic Bomb. Then, well, there's the Parasitic Bomb, and then Cortex immediately converging.
This is not gonna work. Well, the interceptors are low.
I think the corruptor count is too low. He needs to replenish the corruptor count immediately. Then he can get rid of it, but Classic knows that, so he immediately recalls. So great play coming out from both. So the reason why you converge the corruptors on top of the carriers as soon as the parasitic bombs hit is because they're going to drag the aggro of the interceptors. So then the interceptors will be in range of the parasitic bomb, and then the interceptors will die there. So that's why he converged the corruptors on top of the Skytoss units. So if he had a little bit more corruptors available for him, he could have actually cleaned up the majority of the Skytoss units. But he was just slightly short on the corruptor count. And yeah, he replenished it, so he didn't get like completely overwhelmed by the Skytoss units. But Classic couldn't afford to take the risk as well.
Yeah.
Because if he had taken the risk, then chances of him losing all those carriers and Tempest would be very high.
Yeah.
So great play coming out from both.
Definitely. Like, I want to kind of talk about this one thing. Like yesterday, we saw Cyril do some late game ZVP as well, and one of the major differences in a way that I feel like the two are having right now is that Cyril would. I don't know if this was just is because DRG may not be finding the opportunities to make it happen, but Cyril, he would land those fungals and then the parasitic bombs would wait for about most of the shields to be gone of all the carriers, and then he would commit with his corruptors afterwards. And DRG just seemingly just a bit more aggressive here and there with his units.
Well, I think so. I think DRG's logic is to maximize the output of the parasitic bombs onto the interceptors of Classic, because you also have to take into account of how the number of parasitic bombs available to you. So because he doesn't have a high Viper count,
True.
so the number of parasitic bombs were limited, and also if Classic had high Templars, then that number could dwindle even further. So I think DRG committed really hard there because like he wanted to maximize the damage output coming out from the parasitic bombs onto the interceptors. But
I mean,
if he had a little bit more support, then he would have been okay.
He was in a position though where he potentially could have gotten those extra Vipers, right, and the extra Infestors, but they weren't there really for the big battle that happened in the north kind of area.
Well, and that's why it's very tricky for both ends in terms of designing your unit composition. Because if you make too many spellcasting units, then you could actually get overrun by the sheer force. So they really need to delicately manage. Oh, there's the kickoff on the mothership. Oh, great storm. But Queens immediately transfusing. The process loses 2 Queens. But right now, DRG is very mineral deficient, so he can't replenish those Queens at this point. So I think this one will kind of settle the issue. If DRG can convincingly win, then he can take the game. If not, I think Classic got this. Because Classic got much healthier back. Oh, there's the fungal parasitic combo.
Yeah. Okay-ish. A lot of interceptors died here, and that's going to give the green light to DRG. There we go. Does manage.
There's the other recall. Yeah, but Classic lost so much.
He did, yeah.
Now, the only variable is DRG's mineral count. If DRG had about like 1k minerals, then I think he would have been okay. But right now, his mineral count is so low, and he has like excess gas. Whereas Classic's resources are much more balanced, even though the sheer number, the totality of them are lower. So Classic replenishing the immortal count to counter the Ultralisk from the ground. And that's because also he knows that Brood Lords are no longer in the equation. So he can freely make additional immortals to protect the High Templars from those Ultralisks.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very dicey because it looked like Classic was kind of like, pouncing on DRG, but once that the fungal plus parasitic bomb combo landed, and then the corruptors immediately engaged on top of the carriers, and then the interceptors were gone, then Classic had to immediately evacuate by recall. Otherwise, those carriers probably will be worse than the aluminum cans that contain soda.
Well, I'm not upset with Classic's position here either, though. Like, I mean, it feels like both players still are working with something that could lead them to a victory here.
Yeah, but they need to be really efficient from now on, because as you can see, Classic has 28 probes, DRG has 26 drones.
Yeah.
The worker count is comparable, but that means the rate of their mineral / gas gathering will be low. So one mess up can really dictate the outcome of this game now.
Yep, that's pretty much what it comes down to. So both still on 100 army supply as well. And again, it's kind of this battle where with the defensive infrastructure for both players, neither of them really want to push each other. But with...
The big thing is that DRG was able to replenish that Broodlord count. So now he's going to have 7 Broods with 20 Corruptors. And 6 Infestors and 3 Vipers.
There's no Tempest either to really shoot at the Broodlords from afar.
Yeah, and there's no source available for Classic to actually, try to land safe feedback onto the Vipers as well. Because a lot of the Immortals have been gone down. Now he's getting some charge loss to clear off creep and maybe use them as meat shields. There are 3 Immortals available at least, so that's good news. But I mean, the infestor count is growing. That means more fungals available. If necessary, DRG is gonna plant some neuroparasite onto the Immortals or the carriers. Or even Archons. Archons would be good sources for neuroparasite because they do splash damage as well. Imagine fungal plus parasitic bombs plus neuroparasite onto Archons, and Archons kabooming onto the interceptors.
You would have no interceptors left instantly. So then, what's the... I could come up with a couple of reasons why you wouldn't, but with that kind of combo of AoE damage, right? The parasitic bomb and then flying in the Corruptors, killing the interceptors so quickly. What's the main reason why we wouldn't see the carriers try to have more of like a split before they try to have the engagement?
Well, so here's the thing, like if they're all split, then they're more vulnerable to the abduct obviously. Because if you're like massed together in one point, then it's harder for Vipers to abduct multiple carriers. But if they're all spread out, then it's much easier for the Zerg to just go for the abduct and just pick off the carriers one by one. So it's difficult, and also if they're all spread out, that means also the targeting will be also dispersed as well for the interceptors, so they won't be focus firing everything at once. They'll be hitting this and that, so that's why you try to kind of amass it together and then try to focus down so that the interceptors are in vicinity. All the interceptors are in vicinity of the target, and just calm down ASAP and move on to the next and move on to the next. So it's just a mechanistic thing.
Yeah, that makes sense to me as well. It just seems like a weird thing though, right? Because as soon as that combo lands, it seemingly does deal with the carrier army so efficiently that it's like, it feels like Protoss are kind of walking themselves into that, and I'm trying to figure out what other things you could try to tweak in order to have that go a bit more your favor, or a bit more likely to go your favor.
Yeah, and also you have to take into account that both fungal and parasitic bombs are AoE. So it's not like dispersing carriers slightly would preserve the interceptors from their inevitable death. So mechanistic. Sure.
Yep.
Go on.
It would have quite a bit of a split indeed. Yeah.
It's just the mechanistic aspects that all of them have to take into account. So right now we're back to square one because nobody wanted to recommit. Classic lost a bunch of his Sky Toss units as well as High Templars. DRG obviously he lost a bunch of his stuff, so he didn't want to go for the all in. So now we're back to square one. So now we have 10 worker lead for DRG. At least picked up the low HP Ultra.
So at least getting a hatch. There's not many minerals left there, but
yeah,
you know what? We'll get it anyway. Hammer it into the ground.
I think DRG tried to land some parasitic bombs, but I think the Zealots would get it.
Yeah.
More than plenty.
Sometimes still, you wonder, those cracklings, they do bite quite quickly.
I think they're not just cracklings. I think they're uber cracklings.
The uber crackling.
Yeah.
It's so much worse now when you add a bit of German every time.
No, it could be, or it could be like, you know, when we're watching, it could be just cracklings, but when you're actually playing and you have to face those,
Oh,
then they
yeah, for
become, you know,
sure.
extra cracked.
For
It
sure.
just feels like they're like extra stronger. They kind of like drank additional, you know, steroids or
Yeah,
Red Bull plus steroids to amplify the effects of steroids. Or
it's just like, it is nightmare material, those things.
yeah, so income advantage in favor of DRG because Classic lost the base.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
getting
even
good
though
for
Classic
left
took
as
out
well. That's a good one. If you
one
can
base,
hold
but that was already depleted, right?
Oh,
So-
this one, right here.
No, I meant, yeah. Even though Classic took out one hatchery, but that was already like quote unquote
Oh.
pretty much depleted. So
Yeah.
I think the 11 o'clock, since Classic had that middle pocket one for a while, so the 11 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and 12 o'clock, I think three of them will determine the outcome of this game.
Yeah.
Whoever can secure more resources from out of those three bases, I think will come out on top.
Yeah, I'm surprised with how kind of in the middle Classic still is. Considering this, and there's not that many minerals left. Like in those two most forward Nexi of his, he might still try to.
No, the pocket one is still healthy, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
pocket one looks healthy. So.
Yeah, but, well,
At
he
least
doesn't
he,
know
at least
about
he
this
has a
base, I
Dragon
guess.
Force.
Now he should.
Yeah.
So now I think he might start positioning a bit further to the left of that Nexus, or at least that's what I would like to see happen.
Yeah, he should be working in the upper half of this map because
Yeah.
the 4 o'clock and then the pocket in between the 3 and 4 o'clock bases, those are they're done, you know. So they're pretty much done. So he has to really, you know, secure that 12 o'clock and also push DRG away from the 11 o'clock. But if DRG is able to mine a pretty good, you know, 3 to 4 minutes from that 11 o'clock base, I think he would be better off in terms of resources than Classic.
There's the drones coming along the way. Mining will start pretty quickly, but a Dark Templar is coming that way as well.
And 4 additional photon cannons going down because he needs to keep this pocket base alive. If he loses this pocket base, then all bets are off. At the same time, he's coming in, doing some work. 1 down, 2 down, 3 down.
Okay.
4 down.
Good
At least
burrow.
gets the burrow, yeah. And then the Overseer will most likely be parked at that location since he has 2 spines and a spore building.
Yeah. It's gonna be rough to break that.
Oh, also, he has to deny as much creep as possible at this area because you don't want those spores and then the spine farms coming down towards that range. Because then it will give much lesser room for the Protoss army to maneuver. So he needs to really utilize these Tempests to push them back as much as possible without getting fungal. So he needs to be really on top of his micro. Fungal, but
Just a couple of them.
chain
Arbors
fungal. 3. There's the Updog. There's the Storm feedback.
2 of them. A little bit of a bank has been re-established, so Classic will be able to, you know, get himself back up to 200 here.
Well, he's making a mothership, so he can't replenish the Tempest count. Because you want those Tempests as many as, like, you don't want excess Tempest, but like I said, I think he has 4 right now, if I'm not mistaken. So before he losing the 2, he had 6. So because you want those 6 to kind of really, you know, poke on the spines, poke on the spores, poke on the vipers or the broodlers. So.
I also think that the mothership, I don't, you know, I kind of like that choice as well, because right now there's a slim chance that DRG is going to split up his army into multiple places. And he has 2 very, very far apart important locations. Well, not this base in particular, it's nice that it's brought down. There wasn't that much mining going on here. The main base is kind of my concern. The potential target, if you lose those spires, right, you won't be able to recreate any Corruptus or something like that, or the Ultralisk Kevin. It could become a lot easier for the Protoss to kind of re-establish things after a first big fight. Oh, he gets it.
Hello? Oh my god! What is going on? And then also Classic pushing out DRG from the 11 o'clock base.
Wow.
Great maneuvers coming up.
DRG
And then
the
the Ultralisk only picked out Zealous, which is only cost minerals. So it's not like Classic's composition has been completely destroyed in regards to the unit composition. Loses the prison. That's a feels bad man moment. Additional Immortals coming in to counter the Ultralisk. And now because the 11 o'clock base is gone, as you can see, the income advantage is favoring Classic at the moment. But as mentioned, DRG mined quite some resources from both 6 o'clock base and slightly from 11 o'clock. So, he has a healthy bank. He has been 200 for a long time. So, if he can preserve the spellcasting units properly, then he will still have a healthy bank, even though he loses some corruptors and some rulers. Obviously, you don't want to lose like ultras and rulers because they're costly, but the gas-heavy infestors and vipers are more important right now. Because without their support, the ultras and the rulers can't really do anything. I mean, the ultras can just like dash in and then pick up the high templars, but after that, there's not much else of use for the ultras. So you really need to preserve that Viper plus Infestor count so that you can just replenish the corrupted count and try to cycle as fast as possible and then just gun down all the Protoss Sky Toss units. Because once the Sky Toss units are gone, then what's the infantry of Protoss gonna do? Nothing, right? So really needs to so the number one priority is preserving the Viper plus Infestor count, and number two priority would be Broodlords.
Yeah. Those Nexus that went down there earlier as well. It's not really that big of a deal anymore for Classic.
And because DRG is consistently getting sniped, so he made the decision, alright, it's now, he's just going to pounce on this pocket pace. So this means a frontal engagement is inevitable from both ends.
This is really
now is he going to save the Nexus? Okay, but still 20 probes went down, so 11 probes left now. So the pocket base, the efficiency would go down drastically. What can you really do with 11 probes? Oh, there's the fungal. That's some great fungal, and there's the
feedbacks as well.
Storm followed by feedback. Okay, second storm didn't really hit it
anymore, I guess.
Hit anything? Yeah.
That is so problematic.
And Classic is out of gas, which means he can't replenish the high Templar count anymore.
Oh no!
Because you want at least 6 in your composition as a Protoss. At least 6.
Oh, how about 0? That's a big difference right there.
Well, I saw one warping in.
One, yeah. Well,
yeah, I mean, better than.
There's no energy on that one yet. He doesn't count.
No. I mean, you can use one feedback, but one feedback is not going to get you anywhere, right? And meanwhile, DRG wisely getting 2 more infestors. He knows if he just doesn't botch the spellcaster units micro, then he got this game in the bag.
He seems to heavily favor the infestor over the Viper, doesn't he?
Well, because also the tempests are there, so like when the Viper tries to go for the parasitic bones, it can be sniped. But for infestors, if you throw out the ultras first, and then you put on microbial shot, then at least infestors can buy some time to get in range to pull off the fungal or the neural parasite. So I think infestors are more comfortable, I think, for him compared to the Viper. I think it's just a personal preference. But both of them are significant, substantial, and imperative in the Zerg composition.
Yeah, man, this is they both really wanted this victory, don't they?
Well, I mean, for Classic, he will go through if he wins, but I think the doors have pretty much closed. He had an opportunity here and there, but you can't really risk everything to kind of make a move because you never know how much bank the Zerg had. You can kind of approximate, but like how can you actually know, right? So if you overcommit and then if you lose the entire unit composition, then you know.
You can't go for a base trade here.
No, I think he's gonna try, but yeah,
How?
it's gonna.
How would that work?
Well, it won't. We know that it won't, but you know, for him, he doesn't really have any other option. Because let's say he pulls back and he clears out this Ultra List plus links.
Yeah.
And then let's say theoretically he kills every single one of them. Like DRG is still like ahead, like miles ahead, really kilometers away ahead. Like whichever metric you want to use, he's still like so far ahead at this point.
It's true. It's
true. You know, yeah, we established this 12 o'clock base, but it's not enough. He doesn't even have enough probes to fully activate the base. You know, he only has 18 probes. So.
True. Yeah, and well, DRG still on 23. It's not that much higher, but at least he has a base that is mining there pretty much fully off.
Yeah, and also when Classic lost that pocket base, he also lost a lot of probes as well. So he had to rebuild probes. So during that time, DRG, even though his drone count was low, but he was consistently mining like off this 5 o'clock base, which is almost starting to kind of dry up, and also at the 11 o'clock until he lost to Classic's push. And he also had the 6 o'clock, some resources available at the 6 o'clock base, so that's why he obviously has a higher bank. And then the trades were more favorable for DRG as the game went on. So now I think the only question now is, are we going to hit the 1 hour mark, or is Classic going to tap out before that?
Yeah. Just keep going for a minute, Choi. I need I need a minute quick.
Okay. All right, so DRG sitting at 1.3k minerals, 2.1k gases, getting additional spore crawlers just to make sure he doesn't get popped by the Sky Toss units. I mean, based on the number of combat units themselves, I think DRG is significantly ahead, but he doesn't want to take any risks. So those are some additional, let's say, safety valves that he's installing. One lone carrier being produced by Classic. Now Broodlord's starting to kind of knock on the shield batteries here, as well as the photon cannons. There's the Revelation coming down from Oracle to allowing the Tempest to snipe the Broodlords, but a lot of Corruptors waiting for those Tempests, as well as Investors and Vipers. Now he's just trading out these links and then getting additional investors, so 3 more investors. That's gonna give a lot of microbial shrouds, a lot of fungal growth, and some neuroparasite on top of them as well.
Alright, thank you. I didn't miss the conclusion, did I? I don't think
no,
so.
not yet.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Bunch of changelings. He's checking out what the composition of Classic is. He knows exactly how many Immortals, how many Carriers, Tempests available to Classic. But he's just biding his time because he doesn't have to, rush anything, DRG can play this another 20 minutes and he's not going anywhere.
Exactly.
He knows he got this in the bank.
Yeah, that's a great part here for DRG, and I mean that's how his approach is looking absolutely lovely as well. How he just dissected bits and pieces of the Protoss infrastructure with the Ultralisks, so now it's no longer even an issue for him if a base trade gets initiated at some point. He really set himself up here in a wonderful way.
Yeah, and some people who just came in, like, just in case, if there are people who just came in, could be misled by that graph that was just shown moments ago regarding the income advantage. That's the only reason is because DRG was transferring the drones from other bases to the 11 o'clock base, so gonna start mining once again. So the income advantage graph really means nothing at this point. Classic somehow trying to hit max population. He wants to have that 200 army. 200 supply with as many army supply as possible, but DRG already has that 1.8 plus 1.6k bank. So.
I mean, one thing could be said here for Classic, right? If he does manage to get that fight, and it goes heavily into his favor, DRG, look at his bank. It's not really there. He'll be able to recreate some bit of army, but if he loses everything, I mean, you know, he's never getting back to his former glory here.
Alright, so we see the unit count right now. 40 corruptors, 9 infestors, 3 vipers. I don't see a chance. Okay, even with those 8 high templars, I don't see a chance because there are 5 ultralists. Yes, there are 4 immortals, but 4 immortals can calm down the 5 ultralists in like
shield battery
a second or
overcharge,
two.
though, Choi. Have you taken that into your equations? The shield battery overcharge.
I think mass number of fungal plus parasitic bomb combo along with 40 corruptors can shut that down easily.
Well, maybe that's true.
Because in mass versus mass, I think the shield battery overcharge is not that effective. Like if it's like kind of mid number or like a low number fight, then obviously it's very potent. But when it becomes like a mass versus mass with like multiple spellcasters involved, then I think its efficiency decreases significantly.
Only increases, Choi. What are you talking about?
Oh my god.
Testing it and come on.
And you know what the pro players say? That these days, when I spoke to the Korean pro players, they say the battery overcharge is garbage unless you're using it in PvP. Like in PvP, it's like OP as hell, but in other matchups, it's like complete garbage.
Yeah.
It's like why? Like oh yeah, Marine Marauder, Steam, A click, it gets killed.
Yeah.
5 corrosive vials, it takes down the shield battery with the overcharge. Only in PvP is imba. That's what they say.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it was a bit made to try and deal with PvP issues anyway, right? In a sense, so I think
and also
Protoss in particular the issue there for them.
And also Protoss lacked some defensive abilities in the early game in other matchups as well. But like when it was first introduced, like other races thought like it was like OPS, you know what? But you know, as time went by, they figured out how to exploit the weakness of the battery overcharge, and then now I think it's not as effective as before.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, everyone still makes them, right? So it's still valuable to get, clearly, but it's...
I mean, you need them. If you don't get them, you're going to die as well.
Yeah. Oh, there goes the mothership. That's some good feedbacks there. And one high Templar doing some work.
Yeah, but you have to actually dwindle the numbers.
That's true.
Because over time you're just gonna regenerate, right? Like you're just gonna like just lay back on his chair, like just chilling, pulling off his those crazy ruler, corruptor, infestor, viper, combo swagger, and then just like like all right, I'll wait 10 minutes. I'll see you in 10. Come back with like all full energy. Yeah, and once this pocket pace is gone, now it's like I think
no mining
like not only
of them. Look at that,
like
standing still. This is no mining anymore.
I think the door is shut, slammed, locked, reinforced for DRG.
Yeah.
Because both of them aren't mining, but you can see it. He has 2.5k minerals and 15 drones available, so he can just rebuild the hatchery. And Classic has to always react to that. And when you react to that, either you're gonna be out of position, or you're gonna allow DRG to clear out, the buildings of Classic at the third, the remaining ones at the third, or even at the main base. So he's gonna be more susceptible to being eliminated as well.
I guess DRG only has one place you can expand to still. If Classic somehow manages to keep that locked up, then I mean it's gonna come down to the one big battle.
Unless Infestors and Vipers all botch their spellcasting ability, then I can see Classic somehow beating that army, but I'm not sure. Now 6 more Crockers, 2 more Infestors getting added, throwing out Lings first, and then followed by the Ultra list to clear out those High Templars and Immortals.
Okay, taking a bit longer. Let's re-max out again after those Lings are gone. They managed to rid the world of Spore Crawlers though.
Oh, and then just lost the Observer.
Oh, there's the fungal. Maybe not something you can do too much with, though. That's the High Templar.
And I think Oracle has only one revelation available for the energy, so he could also hide the infestors using the borrow.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's a good point. Yeah, I don't think he has any observers left, does he?
No.
No.
He lost the final one. That's for Crawler. That was brutal.
Well, classic. It's time, I think.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to pull the trigger at some point.
Gotta be Bon Jovi. It's now or never. Ain't living forever.
Wanted dead or alive.
The revelation went down. DRG should know if he saw that revelation because it went on the creep on his creep. If he can check the Oracle energy, and if it's not available for another revelation, he can actually borrow the infestors and he go for the massive neural parasite.
Yeah,
but he's just playing uber safe.
He's not sure that there's no other observer, right? We can see that there's not another one, but to him that would still be a bit of a guess. A guesstimate.
Maybe I can confirm that and then tell the story at KOB2 Qualifier if I end up casting.
All right. Ooh, yeah.
Because I am going to call and ask him, did you know all the observers were dead, or were you too old to figure that out? I know he's gonna say,
probably.
Dude, I'm in my 30s. I can't see those wiggly observers. You know, I even have a hard time looking at the DT. So what do you mean observers?
Oh man, it looks like it's
time.
time.
Now it's time. Yeah. Oh, there's the fungal parasitic combo.
Still keeping that distance for the time being, but army supply wise.
Yeah, there's the neural parasite. Yeah, I think he knows that, like, because the overseer saw the absence of observers.
Yeah, that's it. Right. Classic. Yeah, now he's
yeah, I see like only like 12 interceptors.
Targeting the right ones.
Yeah. All right, another neural. That sealed it. Yep. The others, there are like about 8 to 10 interceptors, but yep. Corporate takedown and GG. DRG ties the series.
Game number 3 coming in.
1 hour, 5 minutes, 55 seconds. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Top right side of this map, we got ourselves a yellow Protoss player fighting for Alpha X. Classic. Bottom left side, the blue Zerg fighting for Team NV. It is DRG. Dongregu, the old man with their walking canes, beating each other.
Dang, which cane is stronger?
Exactly. I bet they're making like Star Wars lightsaber noises while they swing their canes as well.
I mean, I think one of the two is going to pull out that sword, though. It'll be like, we're not playing another. It's like 65-minute bull jive. So.
Yeah, I agree.
I think either Classic or DRG is going to pull off something. And also,
they still have like 2 other best of 3s to go through behind.
Exactly.
Well.
So
yeah. No, wait, just one actually. Right? No.
Yeah,
wait.
one more.
Am I crazy?
No, it's one more.
One
so
more.
if they win this, then there's one more.
Yeah. Ooh, boy.
That would be so feels bad moment though. If this goes another like an hour-long game and whoever wins goes up in the qualifying match and then loses like in 20 minutes, that would be so devastating.
For sure.
Feels bad, man. Like X, like 1,000, 10,000. How much is it?
Yeah, you can only imagine. Or I can only imagine.
We both can only imagine.
We know how it feels just playing a regular ladder game like that, you know? It's already heartbreaking, but then in a tournament, whew, just 2 best of 3s away.
Okay, so just very standard 4-lane opening from DRG. Some people go 6 lanes, but usually 6 links kind of tell that Zerg is gonna do some type of aggression. So very standard is 4 links, and then classic just going conventional Stargate. I don't think we're gonna see like max specs like 3 Stargate Phoenix, but I think it's gonna be analogous to what we saw last game. Probably 1 Stargate followed up by Twilight.
All right.
Or it could be just 2 Stargate Void Raid play, but I think a lot of the Protoss players, especially the Korean players, kind of gave up on that because they think it's now just complete garbage. Thanks to the nerf on the Void Raid cost and the production time. And then, you know, some may say it may not be the biggest deal, like only 50 minerals or like only 6 seconds in terms of the production time. But every mineral and every second matter to these kind of top tier players. So.
Especially if you're going double or triple Stargate, right? I mean, there's doubled then those negative side effects.
That too, and also defending any sort of like Zerg's timing rush has become more arduous because of those nerfs as well. Sure. And all the previous optimizations are essentially, you know, you have to throw them in the trash can. So they need to re-optimize things, but then the entire timing is all entangled, and then you just can't find the most ideal solution to what the opposing race is doing. So I think that's the part where the Protosses are having the most difficulty on. So that's why they kind of try to, you know, reverse the pattern and try to be more aggressive in the, you know, early/mid game. But
timing
you know,
push,
only a handful of players had success. And also, if we assume everything that the Zerg is aware of what the Protoss is doing, then it's not likely that they're gonna die to those timing pushes. So the Protoss really has to like sell it, you know. They have to be like academy winning like actor or actresses to really, you know, make the Zerg get caught off guard.
It does happen sometimes, but it's difficult, especially because the Zergs are kind of catching on to that fact as well. Then, right? So they'll invest more time and resources into getting scouting information, and it's a rough time. It's a rough time simulated Protoss.
So once again, is that identical build order? Charge, 1 Stargate, charge, and then Archive. Oh, Queen was almost a betrayer, but it became that Queen was pushing the drones with her butt, like get your you know what over there.
I might be a bit ahead of you again. I'm at 540 now. 541.
I'm like 5 seconds.
It's okay. It's okay. I mean, it happens quick, right? With like those 5 seconds, but it's just like, yeah. StarCraft 2 is a game of seconds, so.
No. Of milliseconds.
Milliseconds, yeah, that's true.
Just think about it. If you're like 0.1 second late with reacting to We Don't Mind, then how many drones/pros do you lose? A ton.
It's quite a couple.
Which means the game's pretty much over.
Yeah.
No,
we
we
get
saw
your
that.
opponent to, you know, be late on something else.
We call that being stats. Stats is known for losing his pros to minimize, so we call that stats.
That's all right. There was also one guy that just kept having his workers being status trapped, right? Who was that again? Was it Sue? Wasn't it Sue?
Maybe.
Yeah. Oh, anyway.
That one I'm not interested. But some of the memes that I kind of coined it in English are like stats and TY. 1 TY is 100 workers.
Ah, yep. That happens. I guess a Bjorn could be not making enough workers at all.
Closer to maybe 0.5 TY only.
He has that sometimes, right? Where it just seems like he won't go up to the same amount of workers, and then you know, just makes bigger armies.
Yeah, but it's not like he's a bad macro player. Like,
Oh no,
he's a great macro player as well. It's just that his early to mid game aggression really excels, and if they pay dividends, then you know he has that very strong timing that he's going to exploit against his opponents. But if they fail, then he kind of struggles to get back in the game. Unless he really turns the tide around with his crazy micro potential. That's why we call him the Micro Jackson, right?
Hey. Oh, that's a reasonable catch. A couple of drones, the queen, yeah. Alright.
Yeah, but he needs more Stargates ASAP. He saw the flock of mutas. So this time Classic wasn't as prepared much.
He's got the Archons, they help out. Will they help out enough? The Warp Prism in trouble.
Took so much damage. It's actually good defense. Loses Spirit Pulse. Oh my god.
No, out of the woods.
But at the same time,
there's a lot of roaches here as well.
Yeah, 3 o'clock base coming now. DRG needs to preserve the muta count. No. He can lose some roaches, it's okay.
So
but he needs to preserve the muta count.
Exactly what it was. I think it's the Warp Prism on the other side of the map for Clan. Or maybe it's the Oracle still trying to do things. It was the Oracle.
Yep. And then he went down. The 6 pros lost, and then he also lost the 4th base. And then right now the mobility of Protoss units once again much more immobile compared to that of the Zerg. So DRG has the tempo of this game. As long as he can preserve his units, then he should be okay heading into Hive, but I think he's just trying to go mutaling roaches. I don't think that's a good idea. I think he should transition to Hive while he keeps Classic in his side, on his side. Because like Classic can't move out right now because then it will be susceptible to these run bys and counter attacks.
Yeah. I mean, if I was in DRG shoes, I would probably feel pretty similar about just, you know, I'm in a really good spot here. I could probably just, you know, keep him from getting that 4th base, keep applying pressure. Now, especially after these probe kills, it's like, yeah, not bad. I mean, maybe he will overcommit to that, like you said, the tier 2 tech for a little bit.
Alright, he picked up 2 High Templars, that's great, and he didn't lose Corpus or Mutas at all. Shield Overcharge is already activated and gone. Oh, he needs to pull back the roaches though. Or he needs the links to, you know, focus fire the Nexus. Okay. He didn't do either, so that flock of Immortals just gonna shred the roaches. And meanwhile, he lost some Corruptors and a lot of Mutas as well to the Storm, so replenishing the muta count, and this is exactly why he should transition to Hive, because now he's stuck on Mutas, but he doesn't have advanced tech to get, you know, ultras or lurkers.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing against a lot of Immortals as well, so I think these Zerglings, you know, they have a really good shot of just dealing with that in a way, together with the Mutalist, as long as they keep those Archons on this side of the map.
But do you want semi-cracklings or real cracklings? Right?
I guess so, yeah.
But yes, supply is significantly in favor of DRG.
There we go.
But one slip up that DRG makes, Classic is going to have one window of opportunity, but right now if he loses Immortals like this, then there is no window of opportunity. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much it. And this is exactly why I emphasize that he has to preserve the initial number of Mutas, because you have to have Mutas plus Croakers in high numbers altogether in order to kill those Phoenixes.
Yep.
Great game coming out from DRG. Showing his style of game. This is more DRG style. And like I mentioned at the start of the game, one of the two is going to pull out something.
Yep.